Hi, Ian Dainty here, and I want to ask you the question that's staring you right in the face right now. Is your company in need of a revenue lead? If it is, then I have some great news for you. I've recently expanded my marketing team and my company's team so I'm looking at taking on 3 to 5 new clients. And I'll guarantee that you'll receive a threefold increase on your investment. But let's first look at why you might want my coaching and training. As we all know, the debt crisis in North America and Europe is affecting all of us. With so much debt, the banks aren't lending anymore. The economy's down. People aren't spending because they're not sure what's going to happen. Interest rates are really low, and that's what's putting a lot of people in debt. And so how is that affecting you? Well, it probably is affecting you. It's affecting everybody, so I'm sure it is to a certain extent. Many companies are struggling just to stay alive and then just to stay afloat. And of course, the way you must market has changed dramatically in the past few years. So not only is there an economic struggle going on now worldwide, but also the way you market because of the internet has changed dramatically. You need to know such things as social media, pay-per-click, search engine optimization, direct response marketing, and everything that must go into a marketing website like blogs, audios, videos, webinars, and the list goes on, as you know. So how do you expect to keep up with all these marketing tools when you're just running your business and trying to grow your products and services and make sure that they're running properly? And a lot of times it becomes basically impossible unless you're a larger company. But so I can do it for you, but you first have to learn, you have to make an investment. Did you know that 95% of all companies fail within the first 5 years of starting? 95%. That's a huge number. The biggest reason is lack of sales, which of course leads from lack of and or bad marketing. That sounds silly, but a silly thing to say that, of course, it leads from lack of sales. But a lot of people don't know how to market, and they bump along and go through some of the issues that they try and don't work. But you have to have good marketing, and I believe more and more, and I come from a sales background, that marketing now is more important than sales. Are you going to let that happen to you, or are you just going to limp along too with a lot of other companies? Or are you going to break away from the crowd and grow your business the way you want it to grow? Let's look at two of the most successful companies in the last 40 years, IBM and Microsoft. Now, IBM's been around a lot longer than 40 years, but Microsoft started around the early 80s. IBM started in the 50s. Microsoft and IBM spend 21% of revenues on marketing and sales and spend 50% more on sales and marketing than they do on R&D. That's why they're successful. They spend that much. And somebody says, well, they're not that successful anymore. They're very, very successful. You just don't hear from them anymore because their growth isn't exponential like it used to be. Because once you hit a certain $1 billion, you can't keep growing by billions of dollars every year. But they make all kinds of money, and they spend 21% of revenues, and of course they make 10 to 15%, of net revenue. So they make a lot of money because they spend money on where it should be spent. And both have reinvented themselves over it. IBM in particular in the late 80s, early 90s reinvented themselves, and Microsoft keeps doing it too. Otherwise, they wouldn't stay in business. But you still realize that they still realize they needed to invest in marketing and sales to succeed. Maybe you just wanted to trade a job for a contract. That might be your business, jumping from Microsoft and IBM, which is what most self-employed businesses people really do. They've traded their job for a contract and then go work for large companies on their own. Or they have a couple more people with them. This is especially true for small companies under 7 people. If you did that, that's okay, but chances are that within the next 5 years, sooner probably, you'll be working for a company again, either full-time or on contract, or maybe you're doing that. But I've found that most successful businesses really want to be successful. They want to grow. But you know your products and services, but you need to keep up with the times on marketing and sales. Just as I mentioned, look what's happened in the past 3 or 4 or 5 years with the internet. Marketing sales is very time-consuming, albeit a very necessary function of your business. Peter Drucker said there's only 2 things that a company needs, innovation and marketing. I think there's 3. They also need implementation. But certainly, you're looking after the innovation part, the growing your company and products and services. Do you have enough people that are doing the marketing for you? But very few, if any, people can combine a technology skill with strong marketing and sales. They're just two different skills, and they both take a lot of time to master. So don't let your business fail or just limp along now to fail later either. Let me help you succeed. You need to know how to do marketing and sales, not just what to do, which is what all gurus teach, but you need to know how to do it too. Okay, so not just what to do, but you need to know how to do it. However, are you prepared to make the right investment to ensure your revenue numbers are met? You've got to make an investment. I mean, if you buy a lottery ticket, even if you win the lottery, you still got to buy a ticket, which of course, the odds are exponentially against you. Here, they're exponentially for you. Just as an example, did you know that Twitter charges up to $10,000 per day? That's right, per day, $10,000 to many of its advertisers. That's $3,650,000 per year, and that is without any guarantee. And they have companies lining up to advertise with them. Why is that? People don't even know if it works or not, and they're still throwing money at it. I know that what I do works. But maybe your company's much like my company. You can't quite afford that much right now. A little tongue-in-cheek there, but that's probably true. But there are many ways to drive business to your door, to your business. Just let me tell you about some of the more intriguing and better ways. But first, let's look at why these new ways are important. I started my business career with IBM. When you called somebody and said you're with IBM, you automatically got an appointment. So cold calling was really non-existent when you worked for IBM. However, when I left IBM and started my own companies, or initially worked for a small technology company, nobody had heard of us. So cold calling was the order of the day. And I hated it, and I still hate it. I don't think it works. I don't think it ever worked. It was the absolute most awful way to get business as far as I was concerned. But very few companies back then had even heard of a value proposition, and so all we did was dial for dollars, and it's amazing. It just stuns me how many people are still doing that today. And we were driven by a guy who had never cold called, and yet that was the only way he had heard to get business too. Talk about the blind leading the blind. Well, that was it. And yet today I talk to so many business people and entrepreneurs who still believe cold calling is the best and sometimes the only way to get business. They think that's the only way to get business, basically because they're technology people and they're not sales and marketers, and so they think that's the way you should do it. And then when they hire someone for commission only and expect that person to cold call to get business, and without a qualified list or a value proposition to assist them, dial for dollars, set up an appointment, they think all salespeople and marketers don't know anything. Well, they haven't given them any tools to help them. And then when they fire these people and then try to do the same thing themselves, 99 times or 99.99 times out of 100, they fail miserably too. I'm not going to get into cold calling or phone. I think that the phone is a great tool when used properly, but a lot of people don't use it properly. So back then I thought there had to be a better way than this. So I talked to people in all kinds of sales roles to get their opinion. Trouble is, almost all of them cold called too. So I began reading about different methods for getting business in the B2B world. I read countless of business books, and I still do, by the way, at least one a month. And I finally discovered a method that seemed an awful lot better than cold calling. It was called direct response marketing. But it wasn't being used in the B2B world that much. I really discovered it from someone sending me a postcard about buying books very cheaply. I'm sure you've received them for years in the mail. I soon began to see how this method could work for the B2B world too. If I sent out a mailing to a large, relatively qualified list, now this is important, relatively qualified, asking them if they would like a white paper I'd written about a pertinent topic to them, I found out I got a pretty good response. People wanted to read about what would help them in their job and what would help them solve issues. Then I contacted these people and asked them what they wanted to achieve that year. So we got into a dialogue. We got into a discussion. Guess what? These people came very chatty when I asked them what they wanted. I didn't phone them up and say, you downloaded my white paper. Do you want to buy anything? I phoned them up and said, you downloaded my white paper. How did you like it? What did you think about it? Why did you download it? What are you doing? So I asked them questions about their business, not if they wanted to buy from me. Why? Because I was helping them directly, and I was not pushing anything, only suggesting alternate ideas for them to solve their problems. Guess what? It worked. So since then, I haven't made a cold call, and I never will again. As I mentioned, I think the The phone is a great tool and can be used when it's used properly, but don't cold call. But things have changed again. In today's internet world, over 80% of people search out solutions before they even know about your company and its products. And before you even know that they're going to search it out. Used to be that people called your company or if they knew about you, and that's why cold calling worked to a certain extent, because nobody knew any other way to find out information about products and services. Now they use the internet, and you know that through your website. And where do they search? Well, they search on Google about 85% of the time to find websites to help them. However, most companies aren't prepared for these potential clients to search their sites. They think they are, but almost all B2B websites are older than 2 years, and unfortunately, that is terribly out of date. You need to be upgrading your website now if it's older than 6 months even. Almost all websites talk about themselves and how great their company is. And very few websites even try to capture visitors' contact information. You know that. You look at a website and all they do is talk about themselves. They don't, here's what we do, here's what our features are, here's who our partners are, and here's all the awards you want. Who really cares? What you want to do is with them. What's in it for me? You want to know what's in it for you. If you do this right, you can grow your prospect list exponentially. I mean that, exponentially. Which gets me back to the crux of this video. Do you want to give your business a revenue leap for next year? We're in November right now, or October 31st, November tomorrow. So if we get started now, you can really start hitting the road running by the time the new year comes. I've recently expanded my team, as I said, and I currently have openings for 3 to 5 new companies to work with my company on let me help you grow your revenues through better marketing. And as I mentioned, I guarantee my company's results. So what can we do for you when you invest your marketing money with me and my team? We can set up your website to the latest standards for driving people to your website and business. We're going to do marketings for you. We can, and I'll give you a number of things we can do. Ensure your website has all 10 factors for attracting and building leads. You can download the 10 factors from my website if you go to it. Excuse me. Ensure your website has the right content and keywords to drive traffic to your site. This means setting up your website for optimum SEO traffic, search engine optimization. I'm not going to get into all the technical terms, but you need people to find you. We can write, record, and deliver your blog posts weekly for maximum exposure. If you're not doing a blog post at least weekly, it should be twice a week, then you're not getting traffic. And let your prospects and clients learn and understand what you can do for them. We can sign you up for some of the social media sites like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to ensure people can find your company's products and services when needed. You need to be exposed now. This is how people find you. You can set up a Google AdWords campaign for you. Google AdWords is the best B2B advertising method there is today. It works great. And if you don't have a Google AdWords campaign, and I bet if you should have one, you need one. And if you do have one and you don't have somebody monitoring who really knows Google AdWords, I'll bet you're throwing away a lot of money. So there's another way I can help you. And you want to ensure all of your lead generation systems are working the most effective way they can. We will help you do that. We'll advise you on how to set up and deliver webinars, teleseminars, and seminars for ultimate effect and participation, which of course is what you want. And then we will look at other methods we both deem necessary for your business to grow. We'll suggest once we talk about what you want, how you can grow your business. So what's your investment for all of this? Well, it really depends on how much coverage you want. Okay, I don't want to be wishy-washy on this, but everybody is different. Everybody wants different coverage, and everybody has a different budget, and everybody wants their business to grow at a different rate. So whatever you want, let's discuss it. We'll tailor it to your needs, not to what every other company needs, but exactly what you need. So to ensure we cover all the bases for you, we need to spend a considerable amount of time working with all of these different methods. But let me mention my guarantee again. You will receive 3 times your investment within a year, or we will work with you for free until you do. So whatever investment you make over the course of a few months or a year, if you don't get your investment back at least 3 times, then we'll work with you for free after that until you do. We'll have a free discussion about your business and your goals. That's when I say free, I want to have a discussion with you. It won't cost you anything. We'll talk about your business and your goals and the issues you're running into and how we can help you. From there, we'll determine what you will need to do to reach those goals with your marketing. Then we can discuss what investment you need to make to reach your goals. So it's up to you. What do you want to do? That's what I want. I want to help you. What's in it for you? That's what I'm going to give you. So contact me today. The listing's below to schedule a free consultation about how we can give your company a revenue lead. Look at the listings below. Either phone me or email me, or here you are here. Here's my phone number, and there's my email. So check these out. Let me know what you want. Give me a call. Let's have a discussion about a revenue leap for your company today. Thanks very much, and I look forward to hearing from you.